we might be brutally blunt with people, but we always have a reason. Because there's people there going, I don't want to be that. I want a kumbaya team. Okay, we'll build the kumbaya team, but they better be very specialized people that almost on a factory floor do the piece and then hand it off. Because if you want real creative juice flowing, if you want passion, if you want teams that care and get results, there's going to be conflict. Just so you know, everybody who DMs me, I say you can come on the podcast and discuss it.
Yeah. No takers?
No takers yet. It might be us. So we were told, I don't know what episode it was. I don't have the episode numbers in my head because we shoot them out of sequence sometimes. This person said that they didn't agree with our tough love model of having blunt talk.
Yeah.
That it doesn't lead to a productive workforce or staff.
Mm-hmm. Well, then shut it down, Bob.
Well, no, and then they gave us some ideas on how we can do better. So I thought we should talk about why it works for us. And it doesn't have to work for everybody, but most importantly, it depends who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But first, I brought these because one of the suggestions was called stickers.
Oh, thanks.
There you go.
For me?
Yes.
Is this going to come up in my performance review?
Yes, gold sticker.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I feel like we've talked about this a little bit throughout time here, but...
I'll take that off. You don't deserve that yet. Here you go.
Oh, man, I haven't even earned it. Stolen valor.
Tough love.
You give it, you take it away. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it tough love. I would just call... So one thing I think about frequently when I talk to people is there's a difference between being blunt and being rude. Right? So I could say to you bluntly, I don't think that the budget number you have in mind for your product is realistic, right? That's a blunt statement. I don't think it's rude. It may upset you, but it's the truth. My opinion is if you're an entrepreneur or a founder or whatever on your journey, the faster you cut through the non-truths, I'm trying really hard not to cuss. The faster you cut through the non-truths, the better off you'll be.
But people don't like that. I mean, we had experiences here where people don't want the truth. They want to be patted on the back because it makes them feel good because on a certain level, they're never going to go to market. Yeah. And that's the tough part with we're dealing with the incubator.
Well, and I'll play devil's advocate here and say from the founder side, I think that because we as founders are passionate about what we do, there's a lot of this mindset of like, fail isn't in my vocabulary. I'm not going to fail. I'm going to make it. I'm going to, no matter what, never say die, whatever it is.
But that's dumb because failure is the way we learn.
But I think that the tough love, if we're going to call it that, mindset
I'm not calling it
that. can sometimes feel like it's stepping on that. And it's not, in my opinion. What it is saying like, that's great that you're passionate, but there are certain items that need your attention. And if you don't have realistic expectations of that, especially numbers wise, or especially level of effort wise, like we were talking recently with someone that was like, am I going to turn this around in 6 weeks? No, you're not. It's not, most things are not going to be, the whole fail fast mentality and whatever it is. There's levels to this. There's limits to all these things.
But tough love falls into the fail fast. If you have a team around you, and that's what we do, right? We put a team around people. Mm-hmm. And I know they were talking about the way we deal with each other and the way we deal with the crew and how we have conversations that we just cut right to the chase. The fail fast mentality is if you're getting the truth or the market's telling you something, you better move on it. You're wrong, fix it. Yeah. Right? That's success because the other fallacy you get sold a lot of is once you build it, you're set. Well, we've built a lot of things and we're still learning from the market and we're still changing as the market keeps changing.
Yeah. I guess my differentiation is I'm not like a big fail fast guy. I'm a fail critically. So fail, and it's not about speed. It's about analyze it, and find out why, right? So take it to a micro level, right? If we're making a part and that part doesn't come out the way it's supposed to, you could go, okay, that didn't work. Let's move on to the next thing. Or you could say, okay, that didn't work. Let's completely throw out this strategy and start a new strategy. Well, no, you walked in, I was having a conversation with someone about this. If it takes half a day, it takes half a day. Let's find out what's going on and why, and then re-strategize and move forward.
But that's realism, and people aren't realistic because people have been sold, I want to build a company in 6 weeks. I want the one answer that's going to get me to market. Well, there's not one answer, right? And that's a whole other episode, I know. Yeah. But I just want to bring it back to this. But it's also, what do you want to build? If you want to be in a bureaucratic kind of circular environment where things don't really ever get settled, and everyone's experienced companies that have meetings, and I'm going to have a meeting, have another meeting, right? Mm-hmm. We can call it what we want. We'll be nice tonight. If you want that culture, then I understand the diplomacy and the politically correct stuff. If you want things done and the people understand that there's love and respect, so we can do the tough love thing again. If you already have that established as a team, then the bluntness should be appreciated. So going back to the DM I got, it's not we do it to everybody. Well, we might do it to everybody. Okay, I take that back. We probably do it to everybody. And I have a good reason for doing it, which we'll get to. But if you know what you're trying to build, then you need that honesty, because dishonesty leads to more mistakes and bigger failures. If we're honest and we're watching something, we did this with a client a while ago, we're like, that piece isn't going to work. If we waited because we wanted to be nice about it, we'd be 6 weeks later on, the piece still isn't working.
Yeah.
So,
and like the merit-based, so there were two notes I wrote down from what you said, like how do you build a productive work staff? And it is important to acknowledge accomplishments. We're not saying it's not, or I'm not saying it's not. I don't know what, you say whatever you want, but I'm not saying it's not important to acknowledge accomplishments. In fact, it's one of the most cost-effective ways to motivate someone is to say, hey, Bob, I saw you stayed late the other night and you got that thing done, and I want you to know I really appreciate it. Thank you, right? But now you get into theory X and theory Y workers, right? Organizational behavior. Some people work for the paycheck. Some people work for the payoff of the value of the work they do. And most people are a combination of the two. Situational management, situational leadership, understanding your employees, your teammates, your partners, what motivates them and why. That's all relevant and important. But where I draw the line personally is when you're not working towards an end that makes progress, when you're just saying, oh my God, that was so great that you did that, even though it didn't work, it's never going to work, and you're ignoring customer feedback. Because at some point, if no one on your team is going to be honest with you, the customer is going to be honest with you. And then you're going to be sitting there going, I can't believe I invested $500,000 in this and nobody wants it, or everybody hates it because everyone up until now told me it was great and no one's as good as I am. And now I've spent $500,000 and I got nothing. Ugats.
Well, I think I'm going to slice a few of the things you just said up because I don't agree with some of that. And
that's
one
hurtful.
of them, well, it's our relationship.
I'm hurt already. Can you give it to me in a meritocracy?
Oh, damn it.
Your stickers don't even stick.
It's cold in here. Somebody said it might snow tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cold shop.
It's a cold shop. A few things. One is if your team is focused on the time commitment versus the result, I have a huge issue with that. And that's not a culture I want to be part of, because if you work 5 minutes and get it done, you still deserve whatever we've agreed to as a budget, because that just shows expertise and people should be paid for their expertise. Mm-hmm. If people are counting hours, I don't want any of them on my team. So that's where filtering out people very early on and being brutally honest, right? I give everybody time to develop, but at a certain point, we're trying to be more efficient, not just watching the clock. Yeah. So I have a problem with that thing. You stayed late. Well, we stay late 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's more about just acknowledging that, like, I see you. I see the work you're doing.
Yeah, but if you're on a team, you see each other every day anyway.
Yeah,
right?
but I think acknowledging it does go a long way.
I don't have a problem with acknowledging.
And that's what I mean. Like, it's if this DM, if this person was talking about, building a culture of meritocracy where you acknowledge it and you get beans in your bean counter that's one way to do it. It's not the way we do it, and we're not for everyone, right? But there is something to saying, acknowledging effort and outcome, right?
It's got to be tied activity to result, right? So, and the only reason I bristle at this is because, and I've said this before, and you believe it, I'm blunt for one reason. I think it's a sign of respect that your time's as valuable as mine, and I can sit here and bill you for 3 hours of talking, or I can tell you in 3 seconds that product sucks. And here's why: we never come out and say we know more than anybody. And I think that's the other thing that from the DM I read into is like everybody's equal. Everybody's not equal.
Yeah, we
might all be equal. But on certain tasks, you're better. On certain tasks, I take over. On certain tasks, we get the finger from the crew. Somebody else is telling us.
I mean, I got a problem with everyone's opinion is equal. It's not. If your opinion is equal to my opinion, I provide no value to the team. I deal all the time with people that come in and go, I want to make this. I want to do this. I want to do that. Okay, well, here's how we're going to do it. Here's how much it's going to cost. No, I saw on YouTube. Okay, well then,
go.
Again, trying really hard not to cuss. So then you don't need me. You got it. I've been doing metal work for 15 years. What do I know?
I'm going to take the gold sticker because I think I have the least cursing on this episode.
You do, for sure. I haven't cursed once yet. But the whole way that our economy works is division of labor. We develop different expertises. Expertise. Grammar, not my expertise, right? Seriously, like copy editing, copywriting. If we're going to do, it's worth it to me to pay a copywriter or a copy editor or someone in marketing to double check my stuff. The person in marketing should not be double checking my welds. The electrical engineer or the mechanical engineer does not need to tell me the best way to shape metal. I will listen to your opinion of what you think it should be. But if I say to you, that's not going to work and this is how we should make it, or this is how much you can expect to spend, and you go, well, it shouldn't be that much because I can buy it on Amazon. Okay, well, I've been doing it for a minute. I'm trying to give you good guidance. You don't want to listen to that. I'm not going to waste any more time with you.
So I think you bring up a good point, even though I think you missed it. So I'll just reemphasize
Why don't you walk back?
I'm going to walk back a little because you said something that I think most people live in.
Bob, I say a lot of things.
Yeah, and we don't listen most of the time. The thing about opinion, like, we might be brutally blunt with people, but we always have a reason and we always validate what we're saying. People just have opinions.
Yeah.
And then they leave it because what they say is what it is. I think the thing that set me off with the DM, and I did invite them on, they did not accept.
Sure. It's cold in here.
It might be cold and they might not like us and whatever.
Sure.
Right.
I can't
and listen, I love the DMs and I love different opinions because it makes us think. It gives us conversation part because there's people there going, I don't want to be that. I want a kumbaya team. Okay, well, build the kumbaya team, but they better be very specialized people that almost on a factory floor do the piece and then hand it off. Because if you want real creative, juice flowing, if you want passion, if you want teams that care and get results, there's going to be conflict. Yeah. And the way you deal with conflict in our world is we come right at you with the facts. We've had brutal arguments. It has never affected our relationship.
No. Well, once again, organizational behavior 101. Conflict is good. Healthy conflict, knowing, and I think we've talked about this before, but knowing how to have healthy conflict is one thing. But a system of pure, all reward, all positive based behavior, it's just, in my opinion, it's not going to happen. I mean, so someone recently walked out of a meeting with me.
More than one.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now, but someone walked out of a meeting.
Might be your cologne.
And I don't always shower. And I don't think I was rude, but I think I was honest about what a reasonable expectation of cost was for something. They got pissed. And
Is that a curse?
I think we're good with pissed. And they walked out. And as they walked out, they said, well, then you've got nothing for me. Fine. And they walked away. I think in their mind, they thought they were being tough-nosed and I'm the entrepreneur and I'm this and that. In my mind, you were just rude because I took time out of my day to come to a meeting with you. You came for 3 minutes and then walked out. That's a bridge that's burned. There's no repairing that bridge. I'm done now. To me, that is rude. There is a difference between rude and honest. You can be honest and be respectful. You can have conflict and be respectful.
I don't like beating around the bush. So I like people to come right at you and say something like this. They were very like, we don't agree with what you do. We don't agree with that culture build. That's fine. I did say in my responses, we volunteer, and you and I have done this for years, volunteer at school settings to give back. I still think there has to be some blunt talk to these younger students, our next generation, about what the real world is, because they see a world very manipulated by social media and almost off-putting by academics.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I think sometimes people go, well, why can't you do all that and still be nice? It's not about being nice. You can be nice about it, but I can be nice and say that's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. You gave me a model that doesn't have a single nut or bolt in it, and now I have to spend 15 hours revising the model to see how it's going to live in the real world. Well, that's not very nice. Well, I'm being nice. I'm trying to give you a realistic picture of what this is going to be. If you don't, this is again honest. If you don't have the skin for that, if you can't do it, don't start. Honestly, don't waste anyone's time. Don't waste your own time. Well, because once again, the customer's gonna, how many times have you or someone you know called the customer service rep and been an animal about something? The customer is gonna let you know if you missed the mark. It's better you find out now before you waste a bunch of money.
Well, here's my frame, and I think all our listeners, or the two that listen, and send DMs every week.
Yeah, it's my mom. My mom's.
I always ask the same question: is like, what team have you built with your model?
Yeah.
That worked. And listen, we can flex all day long about our retention and our loyalty and that we have people for 30 years around us. But what have you built? And sometimes they're honest, like, I've never built it, but I think it and I've read it. That's a filter for me. It always has been. We've met a lot of entrepreneurs who just manage companies. If you're a manager, you might be entrepreneurial, but if you haven't taken the step to do your own thing, I discount that on a certain level.
Well, my discount is if you don't have money in the game.
Yeah, but you can have money in the game and still not be entrepreneurial. There's a lot of
I'm not talking about
silent investors.
I'm not talking about being entrepreneurial. I'm talking about going like, oh, well, this is my opinion and this is where I'm at.
Oh,
well,
put money where you're.
Yeah, if you don't have any skin in the game, I'm discounting that opinion. You know, if you want to tell me the best way to design a product and you've never worked for a company or designed a product with a less than $1 million budget, I'm going to go ahead and discount your opinion. Because real products have to go through a journey where you work with the resources you have and you have a phased approach and you lay those things out and you understand the critical risks and you develop a strategy. I don't
think there's a dollar amount to that though.
I just used $1 million as an example.
Right, I'm just saying, but you can start a company for a few $100 and still be at risk depending on your own circumstances.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like if you've always worked for a company that always has a budget and you want to come here and say, no, the way you do, like lean engineers, I love them to death, but
no, you don't.
I don't. But
why are you lying to the audience?
But I'm trying to be nice. See,
nice doesn't work. We see right through the.
Damn now who swore?
I get the gold star.
I had an engineer come to me, he looked at a design, we were working on a design together, and he said, it's not very lean. Here's what I would change everything about it. And I said, that doesn't matter because it loses all the design goals. This isn't a lean design exercise.
Well, there's a magic word. Is it an exercise for theory or is it an exercise to reach reality?
Yeah, when it's understanding design goals and yada, yada, all that other stuff. But I guess my point is that if you've always worked in setting A, developing your own product, you don't have skin in the game, right? So you go, well, I could get fired and lose my income. All right, but that's not really skin in the game. If I'm saying, hey, we got to buy a new $30,000 machine, and you go, okay, let me run it up the food chain, that money's not coming out of your pocket. Right. If I buy a new $30,000 machine, I got to go into my pocket and get that money and go, all right, now I got to pay for it. How am I going to make money back on that? What's that going to do? What's the value add going to be? If you've always worked for a company, there's kind of like a silk screen. There's like a curtain between that where you go, well, I ran up the flagpole and I got approval. Well, you used an established system. It's a whole different thing. And I'm not saying I could exist in that environment.
It's a different risk profile.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm going to discount your opinion when you tell me the way I should build a product when you've never built a product for less than X amount of dollars.
This probably leads to another episode, but I'll just bring it up here. We get a lot of DMs about people at idea stage, and we put them in the same bucket because there's a different experience and there's more education that we have to give them than somebody that's already done it and failed or succeeded, right? You have different life lessons from doing it than thinking it. So this whole idea thing, and that's what I'm always going back to. If you're thinking about building a team and you want to do it a certain way, you can try it, but you also have to think about what does that team look like 5-10 years from now? Because are they still waiting for you to tell them to do something?
Right.
I mean, the thing about tough love is we all held ourselves accountable all the time. And Teal say, I screwed that up. And we're like, hey, okay, we'll go fix it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, very rarely, but yeah, it does happen.
Well,
yeah. I mean,
how do you classify very rarely? Every day?
I mean, in reality, like I will always own.
Are you going to curse?
No. If you are the business owner, you own the mistakes.
Yep.
And
even if it's not yours,
because
it is yours.
100%. 100%.
Crap rolls uphill.
Yep. And that is how I've built more meaningful partnerships with other companies is owning mistakes, because you own your mistake, you stand behind it, or even you own someone else's mistake and you bail them out and you stand behind it.
Why are you looking at me?
And you go, I could have thrown that person under the bus over there to my right. No, you go, I could have thrown them under the bus, or I could have charged them twice, or I could have said, that's on you, I'm out of here. And instead you don't. You make everything right. You move on. Now you got a partnership built on trust.
I'm waiting for that partnership here. Just saying.
But that's why the I mean, it's not meritocracy. It's the happy-go-lucky model. It doesn't hold weight for me. It's honest, it's blunt, but it's not rude. And when you do cross into the rude segment, I'll be honest, I'm out.
Well, people, I mean, if you have a real relationship with them, people will call you out on it. Like, you're being rude right now. You're not helping. You're just being rude. I mean, but that's also about relationships, right? There's ebb and flow.
Yeah. I think that, sorry.
We're being yelled at to cut it off.
Yeah, hang on. Not to cut you off.
No, you can't cut me off.
I'm cutting you off.
I got more to say.
You've been cut off.
I gave you 2 gold stars.
The only other thing that I would say is I do think that, and this is from a conversation I had here last month with someone.
Yourself.
Myself, talking to myself in the mirror. I do think there's a misconception of if you are a strong business person, you are a cutthroat, no nonsense, and that's just not true.
That's not true.
It's just 100% not true. There are those people out there. They usually hang themselves with their own rope. You know, they
need each other. It's a team effort, regardless if they're in your company or not.
Yep, and they may make money, but as we've said numerous times, that means very little to me. It's what you're doing with it, how you're doing it, and what you're bringing to the table.
So I'm just going to reiterate. I love the DMs. I read everyone. I try to answer all of them. If you DM and you really are passionate about a topic, I would love to have you on the show. Starting in the new year, we have a whole guest lineup. We have visits. We're going to be all over the place. So please DM me. Know that my next response back to you is love to talk about this on the podcast with you. So No Followers Podcast. That's why we're here. Have these conversations with our audience that matter, but also to give a different perspective than what you're reading or hearing from advisors, theory consultants.
Yeah.
You know, all those good things.
The reality of it.
So watch, listen. Some of you should sponsor, just saying.
Yeah. All right, Bob. That's enough for now.
I'm done with you.
I'll talk to you later.
Maybe.
Maybe not.